like a clip.
Like that?
Yeah, but you can move the clip down.
Oh, okay. I wasn't
Oh,
sure.
that's so cool. I'm like, shit, let me not ratchet for a bit. What's like life was I genuinely don't feel like life was ever meant to be easy for me, and I feel like if I did have accepting parents, I wouldn't understand other queer people who didn't have accepting parents. My name's Ethan. I was born in Pacoima, and I'm an activist for queer folks as well as folks who are immigrants. And right now, I'm really just trying to get through high school and go to college. So yeah. So outside of home, most of the time, what I end up doing is a lot of activism, and something I'm always doing is media managing, because a lot of the folks I work for are very like old, and they're not very tech savvy. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'm usually like making websites for people, or making flyers for folks, or translating a lot for folks who work in those communities, because I'm usually doing mutual aid between Black and Brown folks in Pacoima. I don't know. I just feel like there's so much more community out of these doors, and as much as I love my family, it's like I love just hanging around folks that are like minded. I think I started leaving my house a lot when I was about 12 years old. It got a lot more when I was like 14. That's when I was really never home, and my parents like hated it. They were like, no, well, now my dad doesn't care. My mom's very like, you need to be home, like cussing in Spanish, that whole thing. And it was just to the point where I just kept leaving, and I was like, she'll get used to it at some point. She can't stay mad forever, so I just kept doing it, and she had to get used to it. Just the way she was brought up, she was very strict, and she was like, you can't leave the house. And it also might be due to her immigration status, because if I like mess up, they can like deport her. And so that wasn't something that was on my radar. So she hated it. We wouldn't talk. She was very mad at me all the time. And her way of punishing me would be like when I would get home, she would like dirty a little bit and be like, "It's your fault. You need to clean it." Just like weird stuff like that. Something I would think is like the hardest part of having my mom not be accepting was probably when like I really wanted to start hormones and she didn't let me, or like also when I was in school and I was like, "Mom," like I didn't even tell her mom kids are being mean. I didn't say nothing. She found out eventually. I don't know how she found out, but like brown moms, they always find out. And so she found out something was up, and she was like, "Well, it's your fault. You're the one acting weird." So it was her constantly blaming me for how people would treat me when I was just being there, and it was her being like, "Well, you're the one that's like standing out," you know. So it was like getting victim blamed. There was a lot of victim blaming from her, yeah, at the time. So I think she became a lot more accepting when I served her in court. So I was trying to get my legal name changed, and I already had a case open. So I was like, might as well take advantage of a free lawyer. I was, I think, about 15, 14 years old. And so when I had served her in court, she was just kind of like, whatever, and like, didn't care about it. And here's the thing that I noticed: she could have served me back, and I could have had a whole court hearing. She didn't. So I was like, okay, you're kind of chill with this. Just a lot of like me having to prove like this is like real for me, and like getting on hormones. I didn't get her signature for like legal name change. She didn't help me out with that. So it was just like, okay, I think that's when she really put herself in my shoes. Was like, this is real. Now we're a lot more chill with each other. Now she's like, have fun, whatever, and she's a lot more open minded. Like, let's go to a drag show together. She's very like chill now. Who is it to say that like a poor brown trans kid like went to college first in the family, no English speakers? You know what I mean? I really want to go to college. That's what's really motivating me, because I don't know. I want to help other like trans queer people. Just going out and being with people who are like, I get it, I understand. Being with like a lot of like older queer people, and they were like, hey, like I get it, I've been there, and I'm like, oh, okay. Mentors have always helped me through it. What I was put through, it's either like strive or die. You know what I mean? Like strive or be homeless, girl. So it was never like an inspiration. It's like there was nowhere to go but up.
You had to.
You had to. You have to strive. Yeah. Ooh, this is something I always say actually. I always say I am my ancestors' biggest dreams, or like my ancestors, like what they would have hoped for. And I say that like when it comes to transition, when it comes to going out to eat, but I really mean that with transition, because in my culture there was two-spirit folks, there was folks who were like multi-gender, whatever. And so I'm always like, okay, I always say this, doing it for the ancestors, doing it for the ancestors. A lot of people will hear me say that. So I would say only come out if you're safe to come out. And it takes, like, I wasn't safe to come out, but I still came out, but that's just because I'm, like, wild. I'm just crazy like that. No, yeah, only come out when you're safe to come out, and if you need to be, like, free in a space that's not your home, go and do that, find your people. And it doesn't just have to be with, like, being queer. Like, with some of my friends, their safe places, like their parents want them to be a doctor, but they want to be an artist, and they go and kick it with other artists, stuff like that. So it could apply to anything. Just find your people, like-minded people. That's what intersectionality looks like when you're brown and a drag queen. So we love to see that. Hold on.